They're coming to get you, Barbara.
In 1968, he revolutionized the horror film and made audiences rethink their choice of pre-show dining with Night of the Living Dead. Now Max zooms in on an original filmmaking voice, writer-director George Romero.
You know, I've been a horror freak all my life. I mean, I used to read EC comic books under the bedspread with a flashlight. And so I've just always loved the genre. I often say that I think probably the first story, the first piece of fiction that was ever spoken by a human being sitting around a campfire was probably a horror story. What's that in the sky?
A true independent. This guy doesn't work in LA or New York. His home base has always been Pittsburgh.
Hi, my name is George Romero, and back in 1968, I made a film called Night of the Living Dead here in Pittsburgh. Well, I like living in Pittsburgh because I think it's a real place. It's, I grew up in New York, and I don't like the sort of head jam of New York, and LA doesn't seem like a real place.
But after 30 years, Romero's first film is still his most famous.
There's been so much talk about the implications, the socio-political implications of Night of the Living Dead. It was an angry film. It reflected our attitudes at the time. It was the time of riots in the ghettos and the assassinations of Kennedy and King. And I mean, you know, it was that time. And, you know, there's some rock and roll in there, you know. What's that sound? What's going round?
We've got to get down into the cellar. Go down in your damn cellar. Get out of here!
People have talked about using a black man in the lead. And I think that we can't really take credit for that.
There are two of them out there. Have you seen any more around here?
Dwayne just was the best actor from among our friends. We literally finished the movie, threw it in the trunk of the car, drove to New York with it, and tried to get somebody to show it.
And the community of Evans City, Pennsylvania still hasn't recovered.
While sitting in the yard one day, it was in the summer, in June I'd say, when these people rode up in a big shiny car. We wondered, who do they think they are? A girl got out, she looked rather groovy, and said, "How would you like to be in our movie?" We'll always remember and never regret, no matter how old and feeble we get, the time we spent acting like silly old fools and got in the movies resembling two ghouls.
So we arranged a mini Night of the Living Dead reunion.
This was our invitation to the premiere.
Wow.
This was me and my husband.
Oh, right here. Mm-hmm. See that? What would I put you people through?
And George took us back to the site of the original farmhouse he used in the film.
This was where the zombies approached in the big wide shots that we had. This was the way that Judy originally ran towards the house. This is the first time I've been back here since we shot the film.
10 years later, he followed it up with a sequel, Dawn of the Dead.
You know, the underlying sort of metaphor in the films is about a new society devouring an old society.
Yeah, I knew that. The film was shot mainly inside a mall owned by one of the investors.
He said, you know, there are crawl spaces up there, there's civil defense supplies, there's all this stuff that you never see.
Hey, look at this.
And I said, wow, that would be a terrific place for people to hide out.
He's made over 15 films and numerous television projects, and all show his flair for getting solid performances from either seasoned pros or relative newcomers.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
And a powerful, no-nonsense visual style. On Halloween, George Romero takes the director's chair, showcasing 3 killer films. Creepshow.
We needed 500,000 cockroaches. So we had these entomologists from the Museum of Natural History in New York actually went to Trinidad into caves and brought back photos of themselves walking around thigh-high in cockroaches.
Dawn of the Dead.
If it seems that zombies were easier to kill in the second film, it's because when we made the first film, we couldn't afford automatic weapons.
And Martin.
Martin is a story that came out of my dreams, I guess. It started with the idea of if a vampire was alive today, what would his problems be?
October 31st, starting at 10 p.m., only on Cinemax.
If you don't like horror movies, go watch the Learning Channel.